Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this panel. My name is Adrian Joezer. So welcome to this exciting panel, and we'll be talking about the journey of Sociolla in this evolving beauty space in Indonesia. So I'm excited to have Christopher Madiam, the co-founder and CEO of Sociolla, joining us on stage. So to kick things off, Chris, having founded Sociolla in 2014, you are one of the early generation of founders in the East Ventures ecosystem. So what changes have you observed in the tech startup since then? What challenges have you faced and lessons learned that have shaped you as a founder and contributed to the development of Sociolla as the #1 beauty platform in Indonesia?
Okay, hi. Hi everyone. Thank you. My name is Chris. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sociolla, which is the company that has Sociolla as one of the leading omnichannel retailer for beauty and personal care. Yeah, so basically back then we started the company in 2015. And then I think we have faced a lot of challenges as well as up and downs for the startup industry. I think we have seen back then I think e-commerce is one of the most interesting tech industry back then. And then there is e-commerce doom in 2016. We have go through that phase as well, and then we have seen that the rise of the fintech as well as the health tech and then the edu tech as well. And then I think we have been seeing all of this phase. And thankfully, I think back for now we have been always sort of like surviving and not only surviving but also thriving. And currently, Sociolla has evolving from a single e-commerce company, from the online company, into like a full ecosystem of in beauty and personal care, consists of few business line inside the company. So I think to give some insight about the company, I'll have a slide. Okay, so here we have 4 business pillars. Consists of the Soko as a beauty super apps, which is I think that's the first time when we launched e-commerce. And then we have Sociolla as a leading beauty omnichannel retail, online and offline B2C platforms. And then we also have Beauty Journal as a leading beauty community. And then the last one, we also have SDI as a distribution company. So this is all business unit that is evolved and to serve to acquire, engage, and delight our customers. Yeah, so this is like Sociolla we start as a Sociolla, right? So it's kind of hard to see. So you can see there. Okay. Yeah. So here we see that the connection between the online and offline, it's quite interesting back then, because when we start as online platforms back in 2015, there's a lot of challenge for our customers as well as for the brand that wants to sell the products that they cannot really feel and touch the products, right? So then that's the reason why when we try to understand the customers, and then it's a lot of things change a lot when we have these offline platforms. And then Soko Beauty Super App, this is some of the facts that we also have. We have 6.6 million users currently. And then we carry more than 2,000 brands inside the Soko Beauty platforms. And then within this review platform as well, we have 6.6 million registered users. And here, the expansion to the offline channels has been we have been quite expansive. So currently we have more than 78 stores spread out throughout the 36 cities. And we also expand ourselves to Vietnam currently.
Thank you, Chris, for the remarks. So throughout your journey building Sociolla, as also mentioned in the slides just now, there have been quite a few contrarian strategies, such as I think you mentioned about building an end-to-end beauty vertical business pillars instead of focusing on just one platform, and also doubling down on offline expansion during the COVID-19 pandemic, when most companies actually double down on online channel investments. So can you share more on the thought process of making such contrarian decisions, and how have this contributed to the success of Sociolla?
Okay, I think first thing first, right? I think the philosophy of the company is always like, how can we really try to understand what is the customer needs, and then try to build the things around them, right? So on top of it, we also try to understand what is the things that always change constantly, and then we also need to understand what is the things that is not gonna change for the next 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years, right? So what we have been observing along this time, everyone tried to disrupt the market by going online, by going into digital, by going into technology. that's actually true, and that's the reason why we also start a company in this. But then at the same time, I think we also observe that offline retail is already be here for like hundred of years. It's still gonna be here for another like hundreds of years, right? So we understand that this is something that we should not miss out. So that's the reason why when the opportunity comes back then in the pandemic, when everybody is actually investing most of the capital into the online, we actually do exactly the opposite. We did not invest anything in online because we believe that we thought even without investing, our online gonna grow because people doesn't have choice during the pandemic. They just need to buy the things online. So our traffic, our sales in online definitely gonna grow by itself without need to have a lot of investment. But at the same time, we see a huge opportunity in the offline side where nobody is really coming to that side. And we have to ask ourselves back then that whether we believe that the world gonna stay like this forever, or the world gonna come. I mean, the COVID gonna come to an end when everything gonna come back to normal, right? So if we bet on the second conditions, that we should prepare for that moment. That's the reason why when we see this opportunity, we did expand ourselves into this offline industry where we see a lot of like good opportunity. We have much better deal. We managed to secure all of the best locations, and we can expand ourselves very fast without any significant competition. And I mean, it's easy to say now, but then back then it was like a quite tough decision because this is really different with everybody else. But I think from our insight, right, we see that it is quite interesting because even during the pandemic, the unique economic for most of our stores are still working very well. More than 70% of our stores are actually experiencing positive EBITDA even during pandemic. So having that kind of like numbers and confidence, and we actually keep continuing our strategy. And by now, after the world is coming back to normal, I think this is become one of our advantage compared to many other players where we managed to already secure most of the locations, and our presence now become quite strong in this omnichannel retail.
Could you share with us, how many number of stores do you have now in Indonesia, in your presence, or in how many cities, and how many stores do you have in Vietnam?
So currently we run around 78 stores, spread out across 36 cities in Indonesia, and then we have 12 stores in Vietnam, spread out across 4 cities as well.
Amazing, yeah. So I think let's deep dive a bit on this online and offline again. What differences have you noticed between online and offline platforms as regards to, first is about the consumer taste, second is about the preference, and also the shopping behaviors. And when it comes to the omni-channel shoppers, I mean, how different are they when, compared to using just a single channel?
Because I think for us, right, when we think about the beauty experience, it comes to the two facts that there's a new brand that always keep coming up, and then within the same brands, there's also a lot of new SKUs that always coming up every month. So I think it's quite important for the offline presence when we try to introduce a new brands, or when the brand try to introduce a new products as well. But at the same time, this is the beauty of the beauty industry where people will not only buy things one time. They're gonna, most of the products they're gonna keep buying it every month or every 3 months. So online will be the best place actually for them to, because they knew what they're buying, and then for us to ship the goods is quite easy because it's pretty much small and it's light, right? So it's very good for the e-commerce as well. So the combination of these two actually works very well for our customers. So currently when we see our own data, the spending per customers that coming from the omni channels, which is like when they buy online as well as offline, is 3 times compared to, let's say, if they are coming from a single channel. And when we see this and I think for Sociolla itself, we do enjoy because Sociolla itself is a brand. So when I mean as a brand, it's like a retailer brand that is quite well known for the last 9 years of our presence, right? So it's always attract the crowd whenever we open up the store, especially in the 3rd tier city or 2nd tier city as well. So unlike many of the retailers where the conventional retailers where the number of stores are really matters, for us, our store is like Apple store actually, more or less like when it's the place for us to display the brands, for us to be able to interact with our customer directly. So we don't need to have like hundreds of stores actually. But then some of the cities we may need only 2 or 3 stores. Some of the small cities we will need 1. So with this kind of and then with the combination of online is always there, right? So people when they first time they maybe they want to buy it offline because they want to see and touch the products, but then later on when they are try to repurchase again, online will be a more convenient option for them.
So, I think let's talk a bit about profitability, if I may. So in the last 2-3 years, we know that the tech industry has been a bit challenging as regards to, the needs to be profitable. So the path to profitability has suddenly become a very crucial topic among the investors and the tech community. So achieving profitability, I think we have witnessed as many companies that has actually come at the expense of growth, especially if the investments in the past have been focused on growing the top line. So striking the balance to deliver profitable growth has never been easy for many. So can you share your experience with Sociolla? How different are you with other companies?
Yes, I think when we first start a company, right, we do have in mind that we are building a company. It's not just a startup that quote unquote burn money and then grow all the way for the sake of the growth. So we never struggle with the path to profitability because from beginning we always see that we always enjoy a very healthy gross profit margins. Of course, the company when we start is not profitable yet due to the expansion that we have, but we managed to build a very strong foundation. So, and this is very important because for the first 5 years of our presence, actually we are very we are not really that famous in a way that we really try to build the foundation of the business really strong by having a lot of pillars inside the business that actually become a flywheel. So then currently we do enjoy whatever that we have built 5 years ago in a way that for now we still enjoy a very high, I mean, of course, because of the profitability is something that is needed by most of the investors right now. The company also has been changing its strategy from a hyper growth in 2021, and then we start to normalize a bit on our growth. So then the company can be profitable, which is I think for early this year, the company has been reaching the full profitability in terms of and then we also have a positive cash flow as well. But at the same time, the company is still experiencing a very high growth. I think at the moment, not many company, especially in startup, that still growing at our numbers. Year on year, we still looking at around 50% growth in the top line. At the same time, we have managed to achieve all the profitability at the same time as well.
So 50% being a profitable company.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So let's switch topic a bit. Now more about yourself, Chris. I think, we had lunch last week and I think I've realized that you have a very unique background, as a founder, you have multiple skill sets, as a tech engineer who also understands business and finance. So I think aside from the integrated business pillars that you have built, can you share some technological aspects of Sociolla that makes it a strong competitive advantage?
So I think this is one of the things that I am enjoying as a tech founders, right? I do have the benefit of the knowledge in the technology where I can implement the knowledge into the real business. So this is something that not many tech company have the privilege actually, because when they build a tech platforms, they don't have a real ecosystem or the real platform for them to implement. And whenever they try to build for another business, actually they will find it quite hard to understand the requirements to be able to build efficient enough and scalable enough that can be used. So one of the biggest advantage that Sociolla has as a group is actually the technology inside. So honestly, whatever that we have been experiencing right now, all the high growth, the good profitability, the very high gross profit margins, as well as the dominance in the market that we have, we still see this as a beginning because of the technology infrastructure that we already built for the last 5 years. It's very important because then this is what enable us to be able to in a way that grow very fast in terms of number of stores, because we have built the whole retail technology that is used inside the stores. So the concept is we see this our offline retail store the same as the online. So we need to be able to track all the customers' behaviors at the same time, optimize, because one of the things that the offline retails lack compared to the online is the space, right? We need to be able to optimize the space as much as possible. At the same time, we also need to ensure that the stock level is always being at the healthy level. So in order to do that, back then we did not see any solutions that And the other part that is looks very simple, but it's actually very important is the price. So how can you become or you claim yourself as omni-channel, but you have a different pricing between online and offline? And to keep your offline price the same across all the channels is gonna be very tough if you do it a manual way, where like normally people just put the offline stickers into the pricing. So in our case, we built the whole system in order to be able to facilitate all the needs of these retails. And we realized actually we built this technology to be used for our own business, right? But then this technology has actually become very useful in order to grow ourselves. But at the same time, we realized that this is also the technology that is going to be needed by many other retailers as well, especially when they face the same complication that we have, because we are in one of the most complicated retail business in the beauty industry. Most of our store will have thousands of SKU inside the stores. All of these SKU have a very unique names. It's not like red, blue, or yellow. The color name, everything is very unique. They have expiry dates. So to manage these stocks is very complicated, right? And in order for us to be able to efficiently manage all of these stocks in a big scale, it's going to be very challenging. So actually, the system that we have is going to be also very useful for any other retailers. So this is like Amazon when they built the cloud system for the use of their e-commerce, but because they have the scale and they have the business to implement, then the cloud system become very good, right? That actually also can be used easily by another business. In our case, the technology that we have built either for our warehouse, either is for our retail, it is for e-commerce or our community, actually is also going to be very useful for any other business as well. So this is one of the very interesting thing about the company that yet to be monetized.
Just to re-emphasize, so you built your retail management system yourself, you built your warehouse system by yourself too.
Yeah, so the technology and everything that powered our operation is in-house.
Yeah. Okay, that's amazing, because I used to cover retail companies in Indonesia, and I think most of them actually buy from vendors, when they actually install the management system on the warehouse and the retailing. So, and, I think before I move on to the next questions, because I have plenty of questions in here, Chris, but I would like to give the opportunities to, some of the audience here, if any of you would like to ask questions.
Thank you. Hi, Chris. Thank you for all the insights. So I have a question. I mean, as a player who has been in this industry for like 9 years or decade, right? How do you see the future of beauty e-commerce? And how do you anticipate the interactions between offline and online channels with shoppers, especially with young populations gaining more spending power, and also with all the new technologies and forms of media? Maybe you can share your thoughts on that.
Okay, so I think for us, we are thankful to be like the center of the ecosystem in a way that we have seen this from beginning when we first started the company. What actually that is quite interesting is the spending per capita for beauty and personal care in Indonesia back then when we start is super low compared to, like, say our neighbor country like Malaysia. I think we are like only 1/10 of them, and then let's compare to Singapore is gonna be like even further, right? And not to mention about Korea, China, and the US. So that's one of the things that is actually encourage us that we have a lot of potential in here. The second part that is quite interesting is beauty is actually a real affordable luxury. And then Indonesia itself, all of us agree that we have enjoying the middle class growing, and then we are very young. We have a very young population. Our average age is like 29, and then it's just a matter of time, right? When all of these people have the aspiration to move up, and with the growth of the economy and everything else, it's really in line because, like I said, beauty is affordable luxury where even we're talking about the luxury brands, it's still affordable for most of the people here, right? So the aspirational people that is trying to move up is real. And then thanks to the growth of the social media, from back then Facebook, and then move to Instagram, TikTok, and currently There is a new one called Be Real. It's not yet popular, but I think it's going to be popular soon as well. It's more like really helping us make the growth of the industry faster as well, and at the same time it's become more exciting as well. The second part that we have been also enjoying dominance because of the ecosystem and the slash the platform that we have managed to build for the last 9 years is that because we are not only just a retailer, right? We are not only have the channels, but we actually also have the content. So we always try to balance between the two, the content as well as the distributions. This is a concept where we try to, in a way that if we just become a distributor, we will be always on the mercy of the brand, right? Because the brand will always have the powers to ensure that the retailer works or not. At the same time, if you're only a brand, then you're also going to be on the mercy of the retailers. Where, like, for example, if you want to list a product, let's say in Alfamart, Indomart, or what's on a Guardian, then there's going to be a lot of listing fees. At the same time, if you don't have enough capital, that's going to be quite tough, right? So in our case, we do have a brand that we own exclusively in Indonesia. That's become the main content that actually become one of the spearhead for us in order for our retail expansion. At the same time, we own the technology as well as the media plus the community in order to help us strengthen the retail presence as well. So this has become like a real flywheels. And then currently we have been seeing that. That's why I say that this is still a beginning for us, because the industry itself is very interesting. Even though we have talk about the inflations, we talk about post the pandemic, actually everybody expecting the growth in the economy, but then we have seen a lot of like slowing down. We have not really seen a significant impact in the beauty. It's still growing very healthy. I think it's just because we're coming from a very low base compared to many others. And then the growth here is also very interesting. If you see that pre-Sociolla in 2015, we haven't seen a lot of local brands. And in Indonesia I think it's more, is real a country where we can see that the local pride is very high. So unlike Vietnam, because we're also in Vietnam, right? The local brand presence in Indonesia is much, much higher. And every time there's a new brand, the growth of this brand itself, as long as they cater the needs of the market. And of course, we believe that because of Sociolla as well, because we managed to be able to bring this brand into the customers to the even the third tier or fourth tier city, right? Then it's also amplified the growth. And again, every month we have seen that a lot of growth coming from many angles, including the new player from China as well. So this is like very interesting. So we believe that even for the next 5 to 10 years, the growth for this industry itself will be still very strong.
Thank you.
Hi, Christopher. My question relates to competition. So given that the beauty commerce space tends to be, I guess, generates higher margins, do you see guys like Lazada, Shopee? I mean, those guys are general commerce, right? But do you see them focusing on beauty as well?
Yes, for sure. I think from beginning when we first start Sociolla as a single online commerce only, at the same time we have seen at least 7 to 8 similar verticals that is being built at the same time back then. So beauty has always become very interesting needs for everybody to jump in. That's why from beginning we start to focus on how can we build our moat in order to be able to defend our position, right? Because raising a lot of money is not the answer for sure. Selling the cheapest price never be the answer. We just need to understand what is the need for the customers, right? So understanding this actually make us very different in a way that we build the whole ecosystem to become a flywheels. So by now we have, as a group, we don't have any real competitions. We are quite far compared to many other players, but actually everyone is become the supply. The part of our ecosystem. For example, we're talking about Shopee, Lazada, and Tokopedia and the others, right? They are a platform where we also sell our brand. So they become our customer as well. And this marketplace, they need us. They need us more than ever. So let's say when there is now I think everybody understands in Indonesia that there is a big competition between TikTok and Shopee, right? Both they will need the brand that we sell, that we carry, and that we own exclusively. So we also again become the center of the attention for them, and at the same time they become one of our distribution channel as well.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much so far. Do you see increasing competition from Chinese brands like Skintific in the region, and how are you defending against these brands?
They never be our competition, but they are growing very strong because of us as well. So we will always become the main channel as well in terms of awareness, in terms of the distributions. So again, because we are as a group, we are like a real platform, right? We are not just a retailers. We also have our own. When I mention about own brand, it's not that the brand that we produce, but it's more like we bring a lot of brands to Indonesia as exclusive partners. So that's the reason why we also have our own B2B business as well. Actually, our business is pretty much complicated, so it's not going to be, 40 minutes is never enough for us to explain the whole, but this is what makes Sociolla as a group is very interesting because at the moment, like I mentioned earlier, because of the whole ecosystem, we managed to create a situation where everyone is become our friends. It's not the competition anymore. So anything that is, for example, right, let's say there is more Skintific coming to the country. They are quite good. They have been growing very fast. Actually, it's gonna make our retailer even bigger. They're gonna spend more money in our media, so we earn more revenue as well. At the same time, we're gonna have more customers, more new customers. It empower our retailers at the same time, right? So at the end of the day, we as ecosystem, we benefited from any things that happen in the beauty industry. And somehow, if you wanna be in the beauty industry in Indonesia, then you'll not be able to run away from us. You're gonna be either in one of our platforms.
Maybe you can, speak a bit about the B2B, just explain a bit, the concept of the B2B and how does that empower you to, get all of the brands also into your stores, and how big is your network, network reach on the B2B business?
Because like I mentioned earlier, right, we thanks to our media, so we be able to identify the trends much faster than any other retailers because all the data that we have, the data points, the behavior is not only coming from the consumption, but it also coming from the other side of the business where we see a lot from the reviews, we see a lot from the trend, the hypes that is happening in the market from the community that manages us to see things earlier than many others. So when we spot this opportunity, we go around the world and then we manage to convince the brands to bring to represent them into this market. And because Indonesia has big population, so most of the brands they always want to come to Indonesia, but they don't know how. So we become one of the most efficient platform for them because we own the media, we own the B2C, and we also build our own distribution / B2B network where we also supply almost all retailers in Indonesia, whether it is modern trade channels like the drugstores, convenience stores, supermarket, hypermart, until the traditional channels like all of the mom and pop stores in the cities. So currently we are supplying more than 45,000 doors, points of sales in terms of this B2B. So that makes us very efficient because at the same time when we sell the products in our retail store where we have our own direct customers, we also manage to reach out to most of the new customers that we will not be able to reach using our own B2C. So combining these two is actually very powerful because this has become like a real flywheels, right? Because we thought the B2B will not have the volumes, right? But we thought the B2C will not be able to understand the market as well. And then using the community as well as the media that we have, we will always be able to amplify the effects of the sales. At the same time, we'll be able to identify what next.
Thank you. So I think we probably only have time for one last question, so probably I'll ask that one last question, Chris. So I think since, Wilson and Roderick is also here, what exit scenarios does Sociolla anticipate for itself, considering that the market you are in and your omni-channel strategy?
Okay, so I think we are thankful that we also in the intersection of the three, now is 2.5, interesting industry. First one is beauty. Beauty always commands a quite high valuation and multiples in the public market, right? The second one is retail. So again, in Indonesia specifically, retail also have quite good multiple as well in terms of the multiple. And as a retailer, I think Sociolla has a quite good positions. We have the highest SSSG, I think, at the moment. At the same time, we also have one of the most we always have the most productive productivity per meter squares in terms of as a retailers, right? So we are exactly in these two junctions. And at the same time, we are also a tech company. Yes, currently tech has not been doing well. Hopefully we can be one of them. So yes, for us, I think there's a lot of things because we are a profitable company anyway. So in a way that it's just waiting for the right time in order for us to be able to proceed to the either it's IPO or another private round.
Thank you, Chris. So I think just to wrap up in this fireside chat discussion with Chris, he has shared his journey since 2014, highlighting the industry changes, lessons learned, and Chris has also discussed about his extremely contrarian strategies, focusing on offline channels, doubling down on offline channels during the COVID-19 pandemic when everybody else doubled down on online channels. And you have also started the company by building an end-to-end vertical integration, which has actually been contributing to your success. So I think he has also emphasized the technological strength that create competitive edge and address the balance between growth and profitability. So, special thanks to Chris for your insights and that you shared today. It's been a pleasure discussing the innovative journey of Sociolla. And we wish you the best. And to the audience, enjoy the rest of the day at the East Ventures Summit. And I think in your goodie bag, there's also some, products from Sociolla that you can actually try. And let's give another round of applause to Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.